Pike's pushed more and Farrell up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start chopper. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Does he have it? Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, they're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start chopper. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Last week we were in the East Midlands in the United Kingdom, and now we are in the land of the rising sun, more specifically Japan, for round 6 of the JPB GT4 series, live and direct from the virtual recreation of the Fuji Speedway. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, and I'll be joined very shortly in the commentary box by my good partner in crime, James Parfitt. But let's take you through what are the points looking like at the moment. We're going to go to the pros first of all. And it's Stein Veenman that leads the way on 337 points for AIRaceSummaries.com, Jesse. Mikey Pollard on 285 for AIRaceSummaries.com, Tracy. We've got Sim Racing Norway's Kim Andre Bjorklund rounding out the top 3 with Miles Owens from Sim Race Sweden. Tauno Oromet, Richard Simnor trying to make a comeback, having made some headway last time out last week. He's currently 6th ahead of Mikey Pierce, Deck Crowther, Dan Pepples, and Anders Lilliordet rounding out the top 10. Got the likes of Dan Babbitt, Chris Barnes, Gavin Petty, Patrick Faulkner, quite a few others looking to move up the table as we hit the 6th round of the season. Looking at the pro team table, it's AIRaceSummaries.com Jesse that lead the way on 542 points, 50 ahead of the sister team, the Tracy team, with the partnership of Simnor and Pollard on 492. Sim Racing Norway are on 457, rounding out the top 3 with Sim Race Sweden. 4th, Project 88 Pro 5th, Triple Blade Oscar 6th, DCW Racing Falkland PC 7th, with Team Vikings, DCW Racing Blue, DCW Racing, JWM, rounding out the 11 teams. But we go to the AM side of things, and Tristan Engelstadt leads the way on 341 points for Quad Dash Racing. Robert Stoughton from Project 88 AM rounding out the top 2 on 307. Rob Williams rounds out the top 3 with 268 points as the Triple Blade Gamma Racer is closely followed by the likes of Stuart Rice from Triple P Racing 3, Gary McFarlane from DC Racing Faulkner PC, Torbjörn Mahler from Sim Racing Norway, Rachel Hoff from Triple P Racing 3 with Richard White, Stuart Gibbons, and Austin Draper rounding out the top 10. So, of course, the Fuji Speedway has been a big part of modern-day motorsport and also nestles in the scenery, as you can see in the backdrop there, Mount Fuji. And let's bring in my partner in crime, James Parfitt. Buddy, good to have you back.
Good evening, dear sir, as well. It's good to be back. GT4's at Fuji. This should be a fun one. Track loved by some, hated by many. And we're just going to find out how these guys are going to get on there as well. It says Nico straight away in YouTube chat, I hate Mount Fuji. So there you go. As I say, it's not everybody's favourite track. To be fair, Alex, some people love it, some people don't like it, some people just think it's meh. So we're going to find out how these guys get on.
Well, especially down the long start-finish straight from turn 16 at Panasonic to Daiichi at turn 1. So there will be plenty of slipstreaming. We're underway with the 15-minute qualifying session that will set the grid. The first of 2 races tonight, so it'll be a 15-minute sprint, and then we'll have a 5-minute warm-up. I'll also go through the AM team standings very shortly as well. Well, I'll do that now whilst we're getting up to speed because everyone's on their laps. Project 88 AM are leading the way in the AM team championships on 518 points. 38 ahead of Triple P Racing 3 with Triple Blade Gamma rounding out the top 3, so very, very closely packed. About 8 points adrift. Quad Dash Racing ran out the top 4 with Triple P Racing 1. DR Twisted Development Racing, JC Sim Sports and Performance Link Esports rounding out the 8 teams that are in competition in the AM side of things. But yeah, as I was saying, James, this long start-finish straight is going to be one that's going to provide a lot of sends into that turn 1. You've got to really got it nailed on the anchors and get it right, because you've got a slight kink into the right-hander at 2 before Coca-Cola, which is a left, and then you've got 100R, the hairpin. You've got so many different challenges for these drivers, so a blend of heavy braking, high speed, high acceleration, and a lot of technicality to boot.
Yeah, you have. And one of the things as well, you know, we're going that straight, as you say, straight down that long, fast opening, long, fast straight, and then we're going into the sudden stop of turn 1. So if there isn't overtakes, I will be very, very surprised down into turn 1 as well. But we never really see a massive slipstream. It's not like we sit here watching F3s or F4s where they are literally right up behind each other going into turns. You know, the Aston Martin there didn't even get close to Gavin Petty in front. So maybe the draft is going to have to come down to about 2.5 tenths maybe for it to pay an effect. But as normal, we just never really know. So let's just see what happens here and see how they get on. But Stein Wiemann currently purple in sector 1.
Yeah, he's not only leading the standings, but looking to consolidate that lead heading into the next outing that we'll have, which would be next week, funnily enough, going to the streets of Long Beach, and that's going to be a very different set of circumstances. So Wiemann currently lighting up, as James said, the opening sector purple. No one's really put in a banker lap that we can get an idea of how these cars are going to go, but see there some of them coming through turns 13, 14 and 15, and they've got to be very, very careful with track limits, especially if they come through Dunlop. A bit too much speed, carry it through and then outbrake themselves. That's going to be one of those big points on the circuit where we could see a few dramas happening, especially on the opening laps, James.
Yeah, you know, the interesting thing as well with this circuit is there's always places on here for it to go wrong. Coca-Cola corner, turn 3, left-hander, going around that long looping 100R, turn 4 and 5. You know, you've got the outside, you've got the car washing out to the outside, you've got that individual who's going to try and dive to go in, you've got the hairpin at 6 and 7 that can constantly lead to issues as well. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of places where this could go wrong. The good thing is as well, though, for these guys, is they haven't, you know, they've got to deal with the chicane, but they're all sensible, so I'm hoping that they deal with it in a way that basically they don't start coming together.
Yeah, first set of lap times coming in. Stein Wiemann in with a 1 minute 47.038, nearly 3.5 tenths of a second quicker than Mikey Pollard. Gavin Petty passes to the Mercs at the moment in P3. Miles Owens in 4th. Tunnel Odomets, the leading BMW, in 5th, with Chris Barnes. Christian Engelstart looking to be the highest of the AMs in 7th at the minute. That's quickly been changed because Gary McFarlane's gone up there. And funnily enough, the fastest ever GT4 lap was actually recorded back in 2018 in the BMW M4 GT3. So very much the spec that we are seeing on iRacing at the moment. So these, I'm hoping that the likes of, Autometz's and Tristan Engelstart, we saw some really good pace from them at Donington Park last week. Hoping the BMWs might have a little bit more come their way this time around, James.
Yeah, and Tristan Engelstart, he's a good driver and he's quick and he can mix it up with the pros. But then at times I've seen him have a little bit of an issue, coming through the grid. As we know, the top 15 for the 45-minute feature. There's always been a little bit of an issue, and that's led to Robert Stotton making a bolt at the front as well. So it's tough, but I'm expecting Tristan to come back, and I think at the end of the day, he's not going to let it bother him. He won't let it worry him. He'll just crack on and do his thing. He's only one of 2 BMWs on the grid. Everybody else is Porsche, Mercedes, a couple of Aston Martins, I think, as well. Miles Owens and Paddy Faulkner, and a couple of McLarens. We've got 3 McLarens actually as well. So I think Tristan's got a benchmark to set in his BMW, but he's got a challenge of trying to hold on with the top 15. Because if he finishes in the top 15, he has got so many fast pros coming up behind him. It's going to be really tough for him to hold on.
Yeah, completely agree with that one, James. In the meantime, top 3 have broken under 1 minute 47 in qualifying. Richard Simnor top of the timesheets by next to nothing. And Robert Stotton in the McLaren, the number 9, goes even quicker than the number 21 Porsche. 146.867. Robert Stotton, again, we saw a very sterling defence in the feature race at Donington Park last week, where he held on as long as he could. And Simnor's going purple in sector 2 at the minute, but that's an incredible lap there from Stotton in the McLaren to get around there quicker than Richard Simnor. But it's only 8/100ths between them at the minute, because Simnor looks to be even more rapid. I mean, he's just done a 40.3 in the second sector, so I think Simnor's looking to improve, and we could be getting closer and closer to a 146.5 at this moment.
Yeah, it definitely could be as well if he stays where he keeps going as he is here. I wouldn't be surprised if we go. I'd be surprised if we don't hit 146.4 or something around about that mark. Alex says he's going to go over the line very, very shortly. We'll see his time bounce up. 146.6. So he did go quicker. He went up into pole position. Stuyvesant second. Robert Stotton down into third. I know Bjorklund was faster than Stotton in practice. So we'll see how Bjorklund gets on and whether or not he can make that jump one place forward. But I think Robert Stotton has outdone himself now and has gone to the pits. He's like, yeah, no, I'm at the top. That would do.
Yeah, with over half just over half of the session completed. So at the minute, Simnor leads the way, Veeman in second, Stotton the highest am in third, Bjorklund, Pollard, Owens, Anders Liljeordet rounding out the top 7 overall, but 6th in the pros. Gavin Petty 8th. Tristan Engelstart actually running 9th at the moment, ahead of Dan Babic in the number 40 Porsche. So top 10 covered by 0.73 of a second, and then I look a bit further down, all the way down to Tano Autometz in 14th, 1.2 seconds. But again, we are just seeing that some of these drivers, including the likes of Simnor, who I think lost a little bit of time in sector 3, and you can just see coming through that chicane. I think that was coming out of turns 10, 11, and 12. So through Dunlop, with that sudden change of direction to the right hand side, and then to the left, and then back to the right, then through into turn 13. The Porsches we've seen already, as always, James, through last season, this season. The Porsche is the car of choice, but we know for a fact that it hasn't always gone the Porsche's way, especially last season.
No, Simnor did take the championship, as we know. Last season he was in the Porsche and he stopped with the Porsche this season. I think with the new drivers coming in, the likes of Andre Bjorklund who's coming in the Porsche, he's got purple, then green, he did top off with a yellow. I'm expecting him to go, he's got pole, 146.5. What a jump from Kim Andre Bjorklund. 146.9 to a 146.5. He found 4 tenths in 1 lap there as well, and that's impressive. I wish the Merc would get up there, and the McLaren, you know, somebody give the Porsche a little bit of a rough and tumble. You know, Miles Owens in the Aston, get up there, son. You know, where's Torno Oromet's pace gone? He's all the way down in 14th. He's a pro in the BMW. Come on, you can do better than that. You know, it's all... yeah, I just want them up there racing with them.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I have seen is that 3 drivers have yet to set a lap time, and Andy Jones, Michael Seal, Patrick Faulkner, of course. Well, we've got also no Dan Pepples, so Miles Owens is running a solo for Sim Race Sweden tonight. But yeah, Bjorklund made up a lot of the time through Sector 1, but it was Sector 3 that he really made that inroad and got his personal best in Sector 2, so that's probably where I think he might have just done a lot of all that hard work, and that's in the middle part of the circuit where you really got to use the balance and the center of gravity of the Porsche, and Bjorklund used that to absolute perfection. But Automet's still trying to improve. I think he's just gone through and done a personal best in Sector 2 as he's making his way through into the far part of the circuit that turns 10, 11, 12. So Automets has still got to try and improve. And as you said, yeah, the Project 88 BMW needs to get a bit further up the order than 14th. Sprint race is going to be a difficult one for him. But as you said, if he stays in the top 15, gets in anywhere between 10th and 15th, that'll set him up nicely for the race. But we know for a fact that the Porsches, I'm going to keep on saying this, folks, the Porsches in the JPB GT4 series really do showcase their prowess no matter what circuit you put them at. As Automets is now coming down the incredibly long back start-finish straight. The circuit now currently in the hands of Toyota ownership, hence you see sponsors like Denso and a few others along there that will be on the current WEC car that will be in action at the 18-12-kilometre season opener for the World Endurance Championship XR later on in February, early March. But Automet's improved. Yeah, he jumped up a place to 147.547. But still, you know, the gaps that we're seeing between drivers at the moment, James, is sometimes quite frightening because it's not even hundredths, it's not even tenths, it's hundredths, or sometimes it may be even just a handful of thousandths.
Yeah. That's the problem. They're so close. And I think you can look down the order. You know, we've got a second until we get down into where Automets is from the leader. And, you know, a second's not a lot. It's that. You know, it's not a lot at all. And then we get down into the AMs, where we start seeing the times drop off. You know, you go down into 2 seconds, 3 seconds at the bottom there for Rachel Hoff. Callum Milan, 152.196. So it starts dropping off there. But I think the pros are very close, and some of the faster AMs, Stotton, Engelstadt, maybe Gibbo might be able to keep up and pick up places as well. So I don't think this is done completely, because I think there's going to be a lot more people involved with this. I don't think it's just going to be the top 5. I think it could get that even Owens in the McLaren, in the Aston Martin might get himself involved. So I'm really looking forward to this, and I think this long straight, this long start-finish straight is really going to produce some action. So let's see what happens. 2 minutes left of qualifying here as well. Dan Babbage sitting in 8th has got a slight improvement going on his time. He got green in Sector 1, but it depends if he's offset that yellow in Sector 2 with the time lost there and what he gets in Sector 3. So he might be able to bump himself up a few positions as well.
Yeah, as they say, the proof will be in the pudding as we're heading into the last minute and a half, as we've got Babbage coming out of the final corner down the long start-finish straight again, pulling to the right-hand side. Looks like he's going to enter the pits now. It's a pretty solid result there for Dan Babbage in his car in the number 40 Porsche. So, but still, Kim Andre Bjorklund doing a number on Richard Simner by exactly 1/10 of a second. That lap, I think it was just a case he was winding up to it, just thought, okay, right, I need to get the balance of the car right. I've got to get confident. I've got to wait for the track to rubber in a little bit. And then when he found out that grip came to him, he just literally, he drove it like he stole it in the second sector. And Simner at the moment doesn't really have an answer, and Simnel's just gone off track as a result. of not just of the commentator's curse, but he actually went off. He might have just been pushing a little bit too hard. A couple of drivers starting to make mistakes in the latter part of this qualifying session.
Yeah, they are, but it's as it goes on, isn't it? And I've read in the Discord that the tyres have been dropping off really, really quickly. I spoke to Stein, I saw Stein Wieman's message, I think it was, and he was literally like, they've gone after a lap. But I don't know if that's because he was over pushing or what the situation was, but he did say they were gone in a lap. So it's going to be quite an interesting, not the first 15-minute sprint, but I think the 45-minute feature could be quite interesting.
Yeah, and whether that might actually need to facilitate for the first time this season, possibly a tyre change. Because if they are dropping off that quickly as the timer hits 0 in qualifying, and that is it, done and dusted. So we are very shortly going to be getting under with our first of 2 races. Of course, it is a 15-minute sprint race. Then we'll have a 45-minute feature race. So here's your grid for race 1 here at round 6. Kim-Andre Bjorklund and Richard Simnall line up on the front row with Anders Lilliordet and Stein Wieman completing row 2. Robert Stottom, who was on the sharp end of the grid, is in pole position. Early on, he starts 5th ahead of Mikey Pollard. Miles Owens and Dan Babich round out row 4 with Gavin Petty and Tristan Engelstadt completing the top 10. Chris Barnes and Dec Crowther, they are on row 6 ahead of Tano Odomets with Stuart Gibbons rounding out row 4. Rob Williams, Richard White, Jess Rakowski, Gary McFarlane, Chris Evans, Torbjorn Marler. We've got Stuart Rice, Rachel Hoff, Callum Milam, Andrew Jones, Michael Seal and Paddy Faulkner rounding out the 26 strong cars, and a few drivers out of position, including Paddy Faulkner. We did see him have a really good run in the sprint race at Donington Park, but yeah, Kim-Andre Bjorklund's got to be very happy with that pole position there, JP.
Yeah, he definitely is, and what's good for him as well, as long as this man can get out on track, there we go, he's just made it, Anders Lilliordet. We've seen him having a great battle last time out at Daytona. So I think if these two can work together as a Norway contingent, I know they're on different teams, but I think if they could work together as a Norwegian contingent, they might be able to open up a gap to Simnar, open up a gap to Wieman, you know, and maybe try and put Stotton in the middle before Pollard, you know. So there's all these little games that they can play here. So let's just see how they get on. I'll be very interested to find out if they do work together as countrymen, not teammates.
Yeah, maybe put their team pride aside and bring Norwegian pride into the fold. But we have got a very short rolling lap as the drivers are now making their way out of next corner, turn number 15, before heading through turn 16 at Panasonic. Then the Porsche pace car will peel into the pits, and then we'll be getting ready to go green flag racing here at Fuji Speedway for round 6 of the JPB GT4 World Series Season 3. And it's Bjorklund on pole, Simnor alongside. This is very much a 2x2 rolling start formation at the minute. Who is going to make the best of it? So we wait with bated breath. Everyone getting a little bit spread out at the back end of the field.
Got to do this.
So, yeah, he's got to do this. Bjorklund's really got to put the hammer down as the pace car is in the pits. And he's bolted already. It's 4 wide, a little bit further back behind Simnor. And Bjorklund has got the lead as we will go under green flag racing here at Fuji International Speedway for race 1. Red lights are on, red lights are out, we're underway and racing. And Rob Stodden's also got a great hole shot in his own right. He's challenging to the outside of Simnor into turn 1. And at this point, Simnor keeps a hold of it. Lilliordet slotting into 4th position. You've got Pollard versus Wieman heading into turns 2 and 3. And we've already had a concertina at the back of the field. Dec Crowther and Chris Barnes involved.
Yeah, this is what this is here. They are actual teammates. So that is Chris Barnes and that is Dec Crowther. Yeah, don't take your teammate out, boys. And they have just managed to do that. Chris Barnes and Dec Crowther, both from teammates there as well. Great start from Bjorklund. What needed to happen happened. Simnar all on his own, and he's got Stotton and Lilliordet between any help from Pollard or Wieman. So this could work out really well for the guys at the front. I'm really interested to see how this one pans out here, Alex, and I think it could be a very, very interesting race now that Simnar is out there as a solo.
Yeah, exactly. Bjorklund's got to make the back end of that Cayman 718 GT4 as wide as humanly possible, because he knows for a fact that Simnar will be hot on his heels and stay in his wheel tracks as they're coming through oh, dearie me. That was Stotton, was the exit stage left, nose end into the barriers. Off of that was, I think, turn 14. That's a real shame for for Stotton, who got a great start on the opening lap, and it's all gone horribly wrong on lap 2. This will be coming through in towards turn 14, and is he going to lose it on his own? He's hit the curb, and yeah, it's spat the car out to the left-hand side, and he's clattered into the barriers on the wall.
Yeah, he put too much power down on the curb, and unfortunately that was the result. Simnar has jumped Bjorklund going down into turn 14, turn 1, sorry, that's where they are at the moment. As you can see, we have a little problem with the timing tower, just trying to keep up here currently as well, as these guys go around a left-hander of turn 3, which is Coca-Cola, and then they're going to come around a long right-hander of 4 and 5 here, Alex. I don't think this is done by any shape of the imagination. Engelstadt has got Vindman behind him as well, but then we've got Michael Seal, who's trying to come back through the field. He's got hold of Gary McFarlane at the moment, with Stuart Rice and Rachel Hoff in the mix, with Torbjörn Mele behind there as well. So a great job from all of these. I think for Robert Stotton, though, the McLaren, having driven it myself earlier on, is very slippery on the rear. If you go to stamp the power down, you've got to feather it in, and I think that's where the problem was.
Yeah, in the meantime, Bjorklund's closing in back on Simnar, so boot on the other foot for the number 21 at the sharp end of the field. But the good thing is that Bjorklund has now got a little bit of cavalry not too far behind him in the form of fellow countryman Anders Lilliorde in 3rd place, and it is getting a bit too close for comfort. Bjorklund's got to be very, very careful he does not touch the back end of Simnar, because that Porsche be going round quicker than a spinning top on a bad day.
Yeah.
As we are about to complete lap 2, so Simnar trying to punch a gap into the air. Bjorklund is just trying to follow in his wheel track to keep the slipstream, and that is another change of movement from Simnar on the start-finish straight, so he can only make one move effectively to break the toe, and Lilliorde on that particular occasion did a 1:47.6, Simnar 1:46.9. Lilliorde is closing to within about a second of the top 2, but again, getting very close on the brakes through into Daiichi at turn 1 was Bjorklund, so it looks like he's got the measure of the braking. It's just now trying to get the number done over Simnar. That's easier said than done. We know what he's like.
It definitely is. I think with Richard, it's catching and passing situation there as well. I think it was a great Murray Walker who said catching is one thing, passing is another, and that is the same scenario. Andy Jones has made up 11 places back in the McLaren again here as well. We've also got in front, that's Rob Williams with Stuart Gibbons there on the same team. Let's hope it doesn't work out as bad as it did for the sister team, which is Chris Barnes and Dec Crowther, and both of them are at the back end of the field, not too far away from each other. Robert Stotton trying to come back through as well. He's got Rachel Hoff, he's just gone and overtaken there again. So Stotton's going to be on a charge, so we could see Stotton maybe make himself up to, can he touch the top 15? That's going to be the question. He's just got to get, oh no, Andy, oh
dearie me, he's got,
mate,
I cannot believe it. Again, there is more drama, and this time it's at turns 10, 11 and 12, so off of Dunlop, and Robert got away with that one. That's also now promoted Paddy Faulkner up to 15th place, so considering the fact he was one position away, and this is not looking good at all. Robert Stotton, you got McFarlane, you got Evans. Lilliorde just lost it.
Yeah, bounced the curve too much as well. I'm trying to find who was also involved with that. That wasn't Robert Stotton. I've got a funny feeling that was Andy Jones.
We had Michael Seal, didn't we, as well?
Yeah,
Michael Seal.
Could have been Chris Evans and Michael Seal. Yeah, I've got a funny feeling it was. There's Chris Evans. Seeley's behind him here as well.
Oh, dearie me. Oh, Michael gave Andy a bit of a helping hand there, didn't he? Chris, a little bit of a helping hand through turn 10.
That was one move. There's the other one.
Oi! Kind of reminds me of Sam Burr's accident in Rome in Formula E, where an incident happens and then he gets clattered into by somebody else at high speed.
But that second clattering, should we say, was under his own doing. Probably staying where he is might have been best. I think that's the situation. I think standing still at that point would have been best there as well, rather than moving. But Michael still did move as Liliorde back off the side of the circuit again there, not having a good time. I think somebody's overcooked their tyres here. And but Liliorde, whoa.
Oi!
That was a big old dose.
That was a hip check and a half between two Porsches, and Liliorde does a Gymkhana special and manages to keep it out of the barriers. That was a full-on 360. So, yeah, those tyres from Anders Liliorde will definitely be cooked.
Yeah, there was a big old gap between them as well, Alex, there as well. So we had some form of it. We had a little bit of help, shall we say, and not always making door-to-door contact.
Yeah, it's never good when that kind of thing's happening. But Harry McFarlane behind Stotton and in front of Stuart Rottnest at the minute. So this is the battle for 16th position at the minute, and there's a bit of a gap between them now and Richard White, who's about 8 seconds up the road. So, yeah, and at the minute, Paddy Faulkner could find himself actually on the front row. On the outside of the front row is McFarlane trying to look up the inside and Rob Stotton through turn 1. No room in the in there. Gap expands a little bit to about 0.6 of a second. So we're now onto lap... We're effectively onto lap 5 of this race with 7 minutes to go. Long laps around here at Fuji. You know, we're running anywhere between a 146, a high 146, and in some cases a high 150. So, yeah, they're not going to get many laps in here.
No, they're not, unfortunately. This is one of the things with Fuji as a circuit. You know, it is quite a longer circuit, isn't it, than what some of them that we have seen already. Bjorklund still tucked up behind Simnor once more here as they're going off round 12, turn 12 and 13. So let's see how this one pans out. There is a back marker in front. That is Chris Barnes in front of them. I don't think Barnes is really going to be coming in effect here. I think, though, for Bjorklund, he's got to be within about 2 tenths, Alex. I don't think he can pull close enough there as well without being in that range.
Yeah, he's currently about 4.5 tenths at the moment, which is nearly double that. So Bjorklund's between a bit of a rock and a hard place to mount an offensive on Richard Simnor. Meanwhile, third place, Mikey Pollard. Miles Owens holding Simrace Sweden's pride up very well at the moment in 4th place. Wienman in 5th, Babic 6th. Engelstadt has made some good inroads at the minute, but this is Wienman up the inside of Owens through into turn 1. That was a late dive up the inside by Wienman. They're going to be side by side through turn 2, and that's the run through Coca-Cola here at 3. Will Wienman ping it to the outside? It's going to be nip and tuck. He doesn't quite make it.
Yeah, he doesn't make it this time around. And to be honest with you as well, with the run that Miles got out of turn 1, there was absolutely no reason why Wienman should have even made that. He shouldn't have even been in the position to make it there as well. But if Miles Owens is going to keep doing silly things like that, Wienman's going to come into it. You don't need to give a driver like Steiner Wienman any more opportunity than he already needs. He's going to send it. He's going to make sure that if you've made a mistake, he's going to capitalise. And there you go. He has just gone through there as well. Dan Babic is under a little bit of pressure here from Tristan Engelstadt, Gavin Petty and Torno Oromets. So great battling through for these field of 4, and then you can see in the background there was more action as well. So yeah, a lot going on here, dear sir, at this current time.
Yep, and we've just under 1/3 of the race left to go, 4 minutes 40 on the timer here at Fuji Speedway for round 6 of the JPB GT4 World Series Season 3. And yeah, Engelstadt is doing a pretty solid job, but not too far behind is Gavin Petty. And the 2 BMWs are in the top 10. They're currently 7th and 9th respectively. And here comes the freight train. It's the Babic train. Forget Jarno Trulli, folks. We've got Dan Babic for Project 88 Pro and the number 40 Porsche leading the way down the start-finish straight. And Engelstadt is closing. That gap is now less than 1.5 tenths. As Engelstadt look to the inside, he's going to pull to the right, he's going to look for the gap, maybe have the opportunity if he late breaks into the corner. Yep, Babic runs wide. That's going to allow Petty possibly to get through. Engelstadt makes the move. That's the Beamer up to 6. Nice work.
Yeah, he's done a great job there as well. But Engelstadt, again, don't forget this is 2 stand-ins that Engelstadt really doesn't need to be involved with. He doesn't need to be involved with these pros. He can let them go. If he's got the pace to keep up with them behind, all well and good. But if you don't need to put yourself in a position where you could get a chance of being taken out, don't do it. Let them through, because the pros aren't slouches, otherwise they wouldn't be pros, would they?
No, and Babic has got Petty towards this outside. This is on the run towards Dunlop through 300 art. And will Petty look for the move around the outside? No, he's going to try and cut in a little bit at Dunlop at turn 10, through the right at 11, and into the left, into the left at 12, into the left at 11, and then 12. And Babic is, again, he's got to just try and get past Engelstadt, and that can put a car between himself and Petty, and then also put a little bit of a hindrance on Odomets and Jones, who are completing the top 10. And this quintet now, it's 5 cars in a row battling from 6th to 10th overall, even though Engelstadt has got the lead. But what he's also got to be mindful of, James, is that the number 47 of Stuart Gibbons is closing up very, very quickly. He's 6.5 tenths behind Andy Jones and the number 4 McLaren, who rounds out the top 10 as Babic. Is he going to get the run on Engelstadt? Or it was a squeeze and a half. Engelstadt went defensive to the right-hand side. As you said, he did not need to do that. And he should have just let Babic go through, along with a couple of the others behind them, as there will be a possible lunge from Petty. Looked up the inside of Babic, didn't get the job done. Wasn't enough room there. And in the meantime, Jones is got the ringside seat here, as Onomets is putting Petty under pressure, going through in towards 100R at turns 4 and 5.
Yeah, he's trying to keep him here as well. Oromets wants to stay with Petty, but Andy Jones is giving him a whole load of grief in the background there once more. So there was a couple of gaps coming down at the front as well. Miles Owens and Stein Veman at one point were literally separated by not a lot here. Andy Jones has cleared Tony Oromets. Oromets is going to give him a fight though, as he's coming down 300R into Dunlop corner on the left hand side. Oromets going to hold that position. I think in the BMW is going to go later on the brakes. Then we've got the Mercedes of Stuart Gibbons behind him, with Rob Williams behind that as well. So the Triple Blade Gamma boys doing a great job here. Oromets is not going to be able to hold that, I don't think. Jones is going to try and get him going into 12. Oromets is going to hold the inside around turn 13. Is he going to lock up the inside? He has. He kept that position. But Andy Jones is looking strong here, Alex, so I don't know for how long he's going to be able to hold him.
Yeah, Odomets was lucky enough that the fact that Jones went for the move, it was the inside line for that corner, was the outside line for the next one. So now we ride on board with the Welshman in the DCW Racing Blue 004 McLaren. He's right up the exhaust pipes of Tano Odomets. This is the battle for 9th on the road. Jones is now going to really chance it. Oh, Odomets decides to pull to the right. He knew that Jones was closing and decided, well, you know what? I'm not going to fight him. If I fight him, this could be drama for the pair of us. But Odomets keeps it to the right-hand side, nearly 3 abreast with Ingolstadt. Petty has just got through on Babic and Engelstadt at the same time through turn 1. Jones runs wide out of T1 at Daiichi through into turn 2. But Gavin Petty made an absolute meal of that and got past both Babic and Engelstadt, and that was exactly what he needed to do.
Yeah, he definitely did there as well, and Gavin Petty did an absolute stellar job. This is where they went 3 wide. He had such a massive overspeed. Babic went on the brakes really early to back out of it, which was fair enough. Engelstadt and Babic then made a little bit of contact and they all survived, which was great for us, because now we're going to have this last lap battle as the leaders are on their way into the chicane at 10 here before they go round 11. But these guys are not done here, but we will keep an interesting eye on how Mikey Pollard has managed to go from 3rd to 1st, and that he managed to get both of them at the whoa, they've made contact.
There was contact between Simler and Bjorklund, and Pollard was up there quicker than a rat up a drain pipe, and he took the lead. He did a 1:47.5. The timer has struck 0, And we're out of the final corner, so the checkered is going to flag, going to wave this time as Barney, the flag marshal, gets ready. It's going to be Mikey Pollard for AI RaceSummaries.com Tracy that is going to sprint towards the finish line here at Fuji Speedway in race 1 of round 6. Well, who'd have thought of that one? And Mikey Pollard wins by just under 4.5 tenths of a second. Simnor in second position. Kim Andre Bjorklund rounding out the top 3. Stein Wiemann in 4th. Miles Owens in the Sim Race Sweden, Aston Martin running at the top 5, with Petty, Babic and Jones completing the top 8. Tristan Engelstad rounds out the, takes the AM class win. So let's have a look at the replay here. So they're quite a big old rate of speed, and this will be going into Dunlop. Oh, Bjorklund taps the back end of Simnor, and that's what allowed Pollard to get through. Oh, dearie me.
And this has got Callum Milo. I'm not quite sure what he's been up to here or either towards the end of that. Oh, he's gone way too deep there, sir. Got to be honest. Anders Lilliorde and Robert Stotton made contact here as well on this final part of the circuit. Is this Lilliorde? Oh. And they both pirouette together. That was nice. So, yeah, there you go. Not an ideal last lap for some here, I think, Alex, as we're just waiting for Callum Milam, who is coming around the final couple of corners.
Yeah, so it's going to be, the top 3 for Am will be Tristan Engelstad in 9th. Good work by him in the number 57. Stuart Gibbons and Rob Williams make it 2 Mercs on the Am podium, 2nd and 3rd, respectively, 11th and 12th, as Callum Milam will finish the race in 25th. And on our reverse top 15 pole position will be Richard White in the number 8, who finished behind Jess Rakowski in the 999. Well, that was a pretty good run from her. So we have got a 5-minute warm-up before we get underway with the 45-minute feature race. So here's the results. Mikey Pollard, after contact between Kim Andre Bjorklund and Richard Simnor at turn 10, meant that Pollard would take the win. So it's a AI RaceSummaries.com Tracy 1-2. Sim Racing Norway rounding at the top 3, with Stein Wiemann, the points leader, taking good consolidating points there in 4th ahead of Miles Owens. Gavin Petty, Dan Babic and Andrew Jones round out the top 8, with Tristan Engelstad taking the AM class win in the sprint race in 9th. Tunnel Automets makes it both the BMWs in the top 10, with Stuart Gibbons and Rob Williams, and good points there for Triple Blade Gamma in the AM, in terms of the drivers and also the teams. Paddy Faulkner finishing in 13th, all the way from the back end of the grid, ahead of Jess Rakowski and Richard White in the Project 88 AM Porsche, who will start from pole position. Beck Crowther took 16th ahead of Robert Stotton, who was also involved in his fair share of trials and tribulations with Gary McFarlane. Anders Lilliorde, the Team Vikings driver, who's got to come fighting back in the next race coming up, with Stuart Rice, Rachel Hoff, Torbjorn Mailer, and then we've got Michael Seal, Chris Evans, Callum Milam and Chris Barnes rounding out the 26 finishers who all made it to the end of the race. So a lot of frantic action at points in that race, James.
Yeah, there was. I think the biggest losers out of that is Lilliorde is going to kick himself. Stotton's going to absolutely be annoyed with himself for the fact that he spun it up. Then you've had Bjorklund and Simnor making contact as well. So all of the front guys made mistakes. So it doesn't bode well going into the feature where you need the front guys coming through the field cleanly if they're going to make mistakes. So, yeah, this could be an interesting feature race.
Yeah, so, yeah, real shame there for Anders Lilliorde. A couple of times when he didn't really have great luck with the throttle pedal, as we both saw a couple of times during that race. And also, Rob Stotton having that drama early doors on, I think it was the opening lap, or it was lap 2 going through into Dunlop. It does happen, folks. We know for a fact that you can't win a race on lap 1, but you can certainly lose the opportunity to win that race on that same lap. And of course, the strategies, we mention about this every time, James, that the strategies, it's 50% fuel levels for all drivers. They've got to do a mandatory pit stop, no pit stop window. But of course, when you said about Stein Wiemann saying about the fact that his tyres dropped off a cliff after 1 lap, that's going to be proving very interesting with the characteristics of this circuit could we possibly see tyre changes for the first time this season? Maybe.
Well, it's a possibility. You know, me and you both know that it could be a possibility, but it depends on what they've looked at after this and said, okay, what's my tyres on? I've only run 15 minutes. If they're down to like 75% or 70% or less, are they going to think about it? That's going to be the question. You know, and I think there's still a lot for them to work out. I don't think this is as cut dry as we think. 28 degrees centigrade on track temperature, 24 degrees on air temperature. So it's not an exceptionally hot track, but it ain't a cool one for them to be running around full pelt on. So I'd be interested to know what they were on if I was blatantly honest, what the tyre percentages was.
Yeah, we might be able to find a little bit of that information when we speak to some of the drivers post-race too. Don't forget there is quite a lot of action coming up on the JP Broadcasting Network, which we'll talk to you about once we've done our post-race interviews and closed out the show tonight. But we are just under a minute away from the end of the warm-up, so a little bit of an opportunity for drivers to have a little bit of a pit stop, get some hydration down their necks and get themselves ready. Of course, one of the things that you and I both love about this series, James, is the unpredictability of what a feature race brings. Because with a sprint, you know, it's going to be a case of everyone's going to go toe-to-toe, everyone's going to go for gold, everyone's going to go for broke, and then do see sometimes it does go wrong. But I'm seeing some of the trap speeds coming through on the warm-up. Anders Liliode just did 163.4 miles an hour through the speed trap. So they aren't hanging about down this start-finish straight, are they?
No, they're not, and that's due to the length, isn't it? You know, they got a long run, and under draft assisted, they can max out quite well. So I think for them guys, you know, they've got the pace within these cars, they've got the ability within these cars, and they've got the strength and space within these cars to start maxing out the speed. So I think it could be quite an interesting one here and with that as well. But I am not surprised that there's a lot of fast guys out here as well.
Okay, well, let's take you through the grid for the feature race for round 6 here at the JPB GT4 World Series at Fuji Speedway. It's Richard White, who finished 15th in the first race, starts on the reverse top 15, pole position. Jess Rakowski alongside on the front row. Paddy Faulkner and Rob Williams will line up on row 2 with Stuart Gibbons and Tano Odomets row 3. Tristan Engelstad and Andrew Jones row 4 with Dan Babich and Gavin Petty completing the top 10. Row 6 it's Miles Owens and Stein Veenman, with Kim, Andre Bjorkland, Richard Simnor and Mikey Pollard completing the top 15 places on the grid. Deck Crowther, Robert Stoughton, Gary McFarlane, Anders Liliode and Stuart Rice complete the top 20. Rounding out the grid is Rachel Hoff, Torbjorn Mailer, Michael Seal, Chris Evans, Callum Milam and Chris Barnes. So 26 cars now readying up on the grid. And again, we've got this short pace lap as they're being led by the Porsche 911 safety car around this fantastic circuit at Fuji Speedway. And again, I'm going to be quite interested to see, we've got a very different couple of drivers at the front end of the field. We've got Richard White and Jess Rakowski, but I'm wondering who's going to get the jump, or could Patrick Faulkner do what he needs to do and get the launch and get the whole shot he needs going into turn 1. That's going to be quite an interesting thing to play out as these drivers get themselves steeled and ready for a 45-minute endurance race with a mandatory pit stop here at Fuji.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think for the likes of Jess Rakowski at the front and Richard White, there's only one way they can go. Hold them up as late as you can. The less speed you give them going down into turn 1, the more hope you've got of getting through turn 1 in the lead. Hold them up until the line or until you see the green, because then after that, it's all fair game, and they've got to keep them there as long as they possibly can.
So we're waiting now. They're starting to build speed just behind the Porsche safety car, which will very shortly now peel into pit lane. So we wait for the red lights to go on here at Fuji Speedway for race 2 of round 6 of the JPB GT4 World Series. And already Richard White has bolted. Paddy Faulkner looking to go side by side with Jess Rakowski as the lights are on the gantry. And we are green, green, green. We're underway in racing. And Faulkner already up to P2 and looks for the lunge up the inside of Richard White into T1. I thought that might very much happen. It's going to be wheel to wheel very quickly between Faulkner and White. And Faulkner in the Aston Martin has got the jump into the race lead as they make their way through the left-hander at turn 3 at Coca-Cola. And everyone else fanning out a little bit further back.
Yeah, but the important thing is they all made it through cleanly. They've all managed to make it through. This is going to be an interesting one here. Rakowski, Gibbo with Jones on the inside. Gibbo's allowed Jones to go and take that place, but he doesn't want to lose too much time as we've got some AI race summary chaos.
Oh dear me. Now, that was Wienman! Wienman! Oh my god, the points leader! The points leader tumbles down the order to 20, right to the back of it. Gavin Petty might have been involved in that as well, I think, or as a secondary collision, so... Yeah, this is not going to go well. Who was it that cut? Because it was 2 AI race summaries cars.
21.
21. That's Simnor. That's Simnor that went into the side of Wienman. Oh dear, Richards dropped a clanger.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Chris Barnes and Deck Crowther did it in race 1. Wienman and Simnar did it in race 2.
Oh, Lily Order.
Mate, that is a massive pile-up. I don't know how this one got started, so I'm going to hope it might have kicked off here with Dan Babic. And there's Lily Orde there on the inside. Oh, what is all of this?
It was Lily Orde that sort of like hip-checked Babic. And he's going to look to go up the inside, possibly, of one of the Mercs up front. And yeah, they just clatter into each other and it's synchronized spinning.
Yeah, and then everybody's trying to come through after that as well. So Lily Orde, and I believe that might have been one of the Triple Blade boys there as well. The number 167 there, unfortunately, also, yeah, Crowther also going around in the Merc. So yeah, a lot going on early here. But I think some of these just need to settle down a little bit, Alex. They're a little bit excited. Richard White's trying to hold on to Andy Jones. He has survived for a lap. Is he going to survive for 2 laps? No. But that has now brought 4 Rams together. White, Rakowski, Gibbo and Williams all together now here as well. And Williams has got Bjorkland, Pollard and Simnar behind you. Not the type of drivers I would want behind me, to be honest.
No, because that person's probably having a Code Brown moment in the cockpit right now. Owens, I think, also got collected by Babic just after that moment with Lily Orde and Crowther, and they are both in the pits. They were in the pits for just north of 30 seconds, the pair of them, so repairing damage and getting themselves back out onto the circuit. So that's a real shame for them. And this is getting a bit too close here as well between Richard White as Bjorkland now coming through on Gibbons. That's for 5th place. So Bjorkland has managed to profit whilst the likes of Wienman and, well, Simnall's recovered to go up to 8th at the moment. There he is, and he's got Stoughton, got Mikey Pollard now behind Kim Andre Bjorkland for 5th on the road, but White doing actually a pretty good job holding station as he is at the moment, even with the people that are around him at the minute. And Jones has just put in the fastest lap. No, that's now just gone to Bjorkland on a 1:47.647. So a lot of calamity in this first opening 4 and a bit minutes. And someone's gone straight on, haven't they?
Yeah, Mikey Sill and the McLaren went straight on there as well. So we've still got the fight with Andy Jones in 2nd. He's chasing down Faulkner, but then we've got Rakowski, White, Bjorkland, Pollard, Simnar and Gibbons with Stoughton in there as well. Him and obviously Gibbons are both AMs, so they're both battling away. Mikey Sill did manage to pass Rob Williams. I'm wondering if Rob obviously was a secondary factor in the fact that Seeley went off the side of the circuit there as well. Torbjörn Mel looks like he's in a battle with Stu Rice further down the order, but it's all about this mid-pack here, Alex, as well. Richard White, Bjorkland, Pollard, Simnar and Gibbo. How long is White going to last for? That is the question.
Yeah, Bjorkland looking to the outside at Dunlop at turn 10, and that's going to be very, very straightforward for White to keep out of the way. He knows that he's got a few cars behind him, but then he's got Gibbons right up his rear trumpet. So Gibbons has managed to use the AI Race Summaries cars. Oh, there was a little bit of a glancing blow between the pair of them heading through into what was turn number 13, and they were very lucky to get away with that one.
Yeah, it's always difficult, isn't it, when you're coming into turn 13? You know, it's the wide, it's the inside. This is what we said with Fuji. It's got so many lines around certain parts of this track, that vortex of terror, that if you leave it open, you're tempting somebody to have a go. You know, it's almost like just dangling the carrot, but you're never quite going to feed the donkey, you know, and that's the thing. It's tough here. You don't want to leave that vortex because you might end up somebody knows on the inside.
Yeah, Fraser Geraghty just saying, come on, go on Gibbo in the chat, as Jess Rakowski battling away with Kim Andre Bjorklund. Now, this is a sight I never thought I'd see, in Rakowski trying to force Bjorklund wide coming out of turn 1 and heading into Coca-Cola corner. And Bjorklund is going to get the position, slightly nosing ahead, about half a car length ahead of the American, but Jess doing a sterling job hanging on to third place for as long as she did, because it was just going to be a matter of time before Bjorklund was going to pull the pin on the grenade. Mikey Pollard, Richard Simnor in close proximity, and they've got to be very, very careful. Simnor's already caused strife with one of the other AI Race Summaries cars, and that was teammate Veenman. So Pollard will not want lightning to strike twice, with two teammates taken out incidentally by the same driver, the number 21 of Richard Simnor, even though he's trying to feverishly get towards the sharp end of the field. Oh, that was a way too late dive on there, and Simnor's just managed to power around the outside, and Gibbons is battling Rakowski, and Stoddard now has come into the mix, and he's up the inside of Gibbons, coming through into turn 13. Rob Stoughton has really fired his way up the order. How far has he gone? He's made up 10 places from the start. Blimmin' hell.
Yeah, Stoughton absolutely flying there as well. But Mikey Pollard, I've heard of sending it on an AM, but gee whiz, Batman, you come from so far back, you almost had to get an aeroplane there to catch up with Jess, and you literally sent it on the poor lady there as well. And Simnod decided, well, if you're going to knock Jess out the way, I'm going to have a go at the same time. One of the things I am going to say about the AI Race Summaries, when they were just DCW, it was always a standing joke that the DCW boys took each other out. I watched a Porsche... What did I watch? I'm sure it was a Porsche Cup race at Knock Hill, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And 3 of the DCW... No, it was a Porsche Cup race at Zandvoort, I'm pretty sure it was. 3 of the DCW boys all wiped each other out. So it was always a standing joke over that period of time that if the DCW boys were on track together, there was always going to be a collision, and now they are ARS, and there was a collision again. So it's no surprise that they've made contact, and I wouldn't be surprised if they made contact again here, to be fair.
Yeah, even though they might be teammates, there is a little bit of rubbings racing, so to speak. But Rob Stoughton now has the lead in the AM class. Jess Rakowski rounding out the top 2. Gibbons is a couple of cars, has got a car in between them, because Michael Seal has made it up from 23rd on the grid, and he's now currently P8. So the McLarens really starting to come into some good run of form here at Fuji. Proof in the pudding is Stodden and Seal. They both come from way back nowhere to right up at the sharp end of the field, and they're really making some good progress.
Yeah, they definitely are. I'm interested to see that Michael Seal's name keeps popping up in YouTube chat here. So if Michael Seal is typing at the same time as driving, or he's got voice text, so maybe that might be a possibility where he's talking while driving and it's putting it up on YouTube. I'm very, very impressed here. I've got to be honest, because I can barely concentrate on driving, Alex, let alone driving, typing and trying to go forward. We've got Liliorde for the Team Vikings. He's trying to make his way back through. He's battling down there with Gary McFarlane in the DCW Mert. Liliorde should get the run and then start making his way up to the back end of Stu Rice. He's trying to come through as well. But it's still going off at the front with Mikey Pollard, Richard Simnar. Rakowski's running horribly left here. I think that's on the defense of Seal. Seal should make it round the outside. Again, this is a Pro-Am scenario, so it's really up to Rakowski how long, and does she really need to hold up or battle with Michael Seal, I should say.
Yeah, the only big question with that is the fact that you've got Gibbons not too far behind, or Rakowski slightly off line, and that's going to allow Gibbons possibly to look towards the outside through into 100R, but Jess keeps her line very, very quickly indeed. 2 wheels off the track, and she manages to keep it pinned. She looks up the inside and seals around, and Rakowski caught up as a result of an incident that was through pretty much most of her making. She went for the lunge, Seal turned around, Gibbons went, thank you very much, that'll do, and Rakowski was stopped in her tracks because Seal was pointing in another direction at the circuit.
I love the fact that you said partly her own doing. That was all her own doing. I'm sorry, Jess, it really was. There was no way. Two things. A, Pro-Am, no need. B, did you even miss your braking point, or did you just lunge in and hope that he was going to leave you gap, which he was never going to ever do? Michael Seal was going to hug that inside line so tight, you wouldn't have even had to been able to prise his fingers off it. It was hugging it. It was like a lump of gold there for Michael Seal. He was not going to let that go. I'm sorry, Jess, but that was literally all your own doing there. And you've now dropped down from battling away at the front of the AM fight to now battling away in fifth with Rob Williams, who finished third in the first race. So he's not going to be pushed over and rolled over here. We've got Liliorde going past Tourbillon Melee. I don't think that's going to be an issue. Tourbillon knows his place. He will move out the way there. But yeah, for Michael Seal and Jess Rakowski, sorry, Jess, that one's on you, my dear.
Yep, not on at all on that front. I'll now rephrase it to not being partly her fault. It was all her fault, as you said just a moment ago. I was trying to get the words out right, and it just completely went horribly wrong, and I think I need my denture cream as well. My fixer dent needs to be readjusted. But yeah, like you say, on course for a podium, and then just throws it away, unfortunately, at this early stage. But folks, we still have 33.5 minutes of this race to go, so anything can happen. We've seen it in the sprint race earlier on here at Fuji. And I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch, James, but Veeman starting to charge through. He's just gone up the inside of White in the number 8, so that's up to 10th place for Veeman. And we do... One of the things I like about the mandatory pit stop in this series, James, is there is no fixed window. And we sort of like start to think of when the first set of pit stops will happen. But then we'll also get the case where some will just really eke it out right up until the minute.
That's the thing with pit stops that we're finding in the GT4s. Every time we watch it, we have these people that will come in within the next few laps. They're round between about 28 and 30 minutes remaining. Then we get the people that run these cars completely dry, which takes them between about 20 and 15 minutes remaining. So it depends on what their strategy is going to be. Me personally, and I don't declare to be Max Verstappen of the iRacing world here, Alex, so, don't take my advice and then blame me for it. I would run the cars as far as they can go and dry them completely out. And if I'm stuck like these guys are battling away, Veeman now battling with Seals, they're running side by side down into turn one. Veeman's going to have that inside line. Sealy's not going to really try and defend it too much here, and neither is Veeman. Veeman's just going to get the pass done. Great job from him. Job's a good one. If they're battling away like the likes of Seal are, Richard White, Rob Williams, Chris Barnes with Tourbillon Melee, maybe look at the undercut and think, okay, I'm being held up here. Chris Barnes last time, 148.46, which was his personal best, but a 146.79 was Andy Jones's personal best. So is he being held up? That's the question.
Yeah, very much the case. Just heard in the driver chat, Tristan Engelstadt has retired the car. He said it felt like the safest thing to do. I've never been blinking that much before. Everyone was flying, so he might have had a ping issue on that front. That's a real shame because of considering the fact he took an AM class win in the opening race tonight. So that just goes to show, folks, that you can have a really good sprint race and then the feature doesn't go well at all. And we've just found that out with Engelstadt. That brings us down to... effectively 25 runners with Rachel Hoff. She's also had a trip in the pit lane as well for about 52 seconds. So yeah, it's a tough one out here at Fuji, and I think a lot of people might be thinking, okay, we've got Long Beach next week. Yeah, you've got a close quarter city street circuit to deal with the walls and no runoff. So you're going to have no runoff there. If you tank slap into the barriers, that's it, game over. Simnor in 4th position is about 1.6 seconds behind Kim Andre Bjorklund and has just put in the fastest lap of this race.
Yeah, he's absolutely flying at the moment. The problem is it's Kim Andre Bjorklund. It isn't just an AM who's out of position like this is here. We've got Dek Kraver. He's trying to make a move on Tourbillon Melee here. And now Dek should go through. I know there was a little bit of A little bit of an interesting conversation at the beginning of the season when we were separating him. I had Deck in AMS, and that wasn't anything detrimental, but that's where I put his pace. It was only the fact that his teammate in front, Chris Barnes, said, don't put him in AMS, put him in pros. He's a pro, James. So I put him in pros. He then come back out and said, why am I in pros? I thought I was in AMS. I said, blame your teammate, mate. He told me to put you in pros. But I don't know if Deck Craver would have been comfortable as Rob Williams there just goes in a little bit hot over Richard White. He did manage to keep that position. Is he going to hold the inside line coming down through 300R? He should do as they go into Dunlop Corner there as well. So maybe there is a couple of people out of position in classes, Alex, but we are still, you know, trying to nitpick our way through and figure out who should be where.
Yeah, that's always the biggest case in point, especially with these feature races, James, because you and I, we don't pertain to be the best sim racers. I don't even have a sim rig at home, so
no,
that's why I prefer talking about it. And it just makes more sense. We can sometimes throw in a conspiracy theory as well if we like, which I know sometimes, which we have discussed multiple times when you and I have been on broadcast. But you know what? There's no conspiracy theories here. Oh, Kim Andre Bjorklund has now got past Paddy Faulkner, who's now got Simnor about a sec. Oh, right now Simnor is about a second behind Faulkner. Faulkner and Bjorklund are swapping places more times than I had hot Sunday roast dinners last year, and they're heading into Coca-Cola at turn 3. And yeah, Bjorklund sweeps around the outside and chops the nose off the Aston Martin of Paddy Faulkner.
He was so aggressive there as well for Kim Andre Bjorklund. He wasn't hanging around, was he? He literally turned around and said, no, just literal no, you are not making your way. I am having that. And not only did he take that position, but he did that annoying thing where he drives the car straight in front of you after being past you. It really does wind me up, because then you get into the next braking zone. You can't see where you're going to brake and you hit them, and then they shout at you for hitting them up the bum. But I just turn around and go, well, don't pull in front of me. I need to see what I'm doing as well, you know. So lucky enough, Paddy Faulkner did hit his braking marker and Kim Andre Bjorklund survived. So yeah, but Bjorklund was definitely aggressive here as well. As we're coming into 27 minutes, we should start seeing the first few people dive in, and I wouldn't be surprised if it come from Faulkner and Simnar, who was going to be the first one to enter into the pits.
Yeah, there was a comment that I actually wanted to pick up on that was put in the chat earlier on by just an average sim racer, saying that the front left tyre is the one that really cops a lot of the abuse and the degradation here at Fuji. When you consider it, and there are a lot of left-handers at this circuit, and there's a lot of change of sideways lateral momentum that the tyres are going to go through a lot of, you know, lefts and rights like we see it from turn 10 to turn 16. It's a right, a left, as there is Simnor up the inside of Faulkner. That's P3 for the number 21. So Simnor will now start going after Bjorklund. Now, of course, folks, to finish second and third respectively, Simnor and Bjorklund running at the top 3 behind winner Mikey Pollard, who's currently 5th. Of course, previous did show in the last race. Hopefully, we know what Richard is like. He will want to do that move nice and cleanly on the circuit. He's got to keep his wits about him and eyeballs in the back of his head, because he's got Faulkner with him.
Yeah, but have you seen where Faulkner's from? He's from the sister team. He is no way going to put himself in a position where he's going to drive in to Richard Simnor. Not a hope, because he knows if he does, it's taking out your teammate. So for Paddy Faulkner, he definitely will not jeopardize this, and he will allow Simnor to run forward. I think that's going to be the situation. Jess Rakowski, on the other hand, she's got Richard White behind her, who was part of the AMS. And then we've got the flying Team Viking literally coming around on his longboat here, is Anders Lilliorde, and is doing an absolutely stellar job as he just goes and pips up the inside of Richard White as well. Yeah, well, Lilliorde trying to make amends for the massive amount of dramas he had in race 1. So that's up to 13th for the Norwegian. Team Vikings 918 Porsche, 718 Cayman GT4, as we have just over 25 minutes of this race left to go. We'll be heading to the streets of Long Beach next time out for round 7, 31st of January. Then we'll have
and Panorama on the 7th of February, Mugello on the 21st of February, and then Twin Ring Motegi in Japan. The 1-hour night race feature conclude Season 3 of the JPB GT4 World Series, as Lily Yorde, looking up the inside of Jess Rakowski, switched to the outside, was not close enough at all, but a little bit further behind. Barnes up the inside of White. That was a good move there from Richard White, on Richard White by Chris Barnes in the 245 Merc, who's now climbed his way from 26th to 14th.
With, of course, they're taken out with him and his teammate Deck Crowther there. So Barnsley's trying to make amends for that. Lily Yorde's still on the move here as well. He's chasing down Rakowski. Again for Rakowski, don't do it. Just there's no need to fight Jess. Let him go. It's Anders Lily Yorde. He has got the pace on you. Just let him go. Don't fight it. And I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe I'm built different in regards to thinking that way, Alex. I don't see any need, because all you end up doing is jeopardising your own race.
Yeah, that's the thing, because now Jess is still at the bottom end of the top 5, but obviously the contact that she had with Michael Seal a few minutes ago, she made a bit of a rod for her own back on that one. Just went for a move that was completely unnecessary, and also at one point she was actually leading the AM class.
Yeah.
So that could have been a real sort of halcyon moment for Jess. I think it's just sometimes it's quite difficult, because when you're in the zone as a driver, it doesn't matter whether you're a pro or AM, as right, there we go, Barnes and Rakowski and White all now pit with 23 minutes on the timer to go. So now we're going to see the first round of pit stop cycle here at Fuji. Everyone's going to hit their marks, and I'll be interested to see how long the pit stops are, James.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be massive. I'll probably predict 40 seconds all the way through. Oramet's last time out 38. Dan Babbage has come out. He pitted, well, saying that he was down on lap 1. Now Barnsley's on his way out here. Very slow getaway from Chris Barnes, though, mind you. He looked like he was almost stuttering to try and get away here. And he makes his way out as well. He's still going. So we are up about 40 seconds. But we generally see that 40 to 50 second mark anyway, don't we? So it will be whether or not it sits within that window. Well, saying that as he comes out, 52 seconds from front to back.
Did you see the rejoin out the pit lane by Jess Rakowski? Like right up close to him. Like Barnes went past, Rakowski went, right, I'm going to floor it. I'm at the end of the pit lane. Oh, there's Chris. Whoops.
The trouble is, she had Dan Babbage along for his company as well, didn't we? Now we've got Deck Crowther making his way through. So Deck coming back through as well here. So he's trying to come back through, but he's got to pit. So that, you know, nobody above Gary McFarlane, so 16 to first there, Alex, have actually pitted. So this could be leading to a pretty close pit cycle, I think, coming out here.
Yeah, the biggest loser I see is probably going to be Callum Marlin in the 555. He's currently down in 21st at the minute and has yet to make a pit stop. So yeah, it's going to be interesting how that all happens. Michael Seal now in pit lane.
Yeah, he's blinked first. He's gone in out of all of them at the front, the first one of the top 15 to go in there. So, and unfortunately straight away for Michael Seal, he's dropped down the order. We'll see where he comes out after that, of course. Crowther is now got Lily Yorde closing in on him. So he needs to be careful as well, because obviously from Lily Yorde's point of view, he's not a slouch either. So he wants to come through the field at the same time.
Yeah, and Lily Yorde now finds himself actually 3.5 seconds up the road from Crowther at the minute. So all the way down to Gary McFarlane in 15th have yet to have their mandatory pit stop. Miles Owens is the only person that has been in twice. So he last had a 13-second pit stop. Of course, there is the also biggest aidage, folks, that you will have the time of not just being in the pits, but it will also be the fact of driving into the pits at the allocated speed limit with the pit limiter on, and have seen it before where people have copped a big old wallop of a drive-through penalty or a stop and hold because of speeding in the pit lane, and that's not what you want to do at this stage as we hit 20 minutes to go. So 25 completed. Andy Jones leads the way ahead of Kim-Andre Bjorklund by 0.8 of a second. And Simnor in third has just put in the fastest lap of the race. 1.8 seconds separate the top three as they head into Daiichi at turn 1. And we got the likes of Mikey Pollard in fourth. Rob Stoughton leading the AMS. So it could be 2 different AM class winners, 2 respective races here at round 6. You've got Stein Veeman in 6th, Gavin Petty, Stuart Gibbons, 2nd in AM in 8th. Paddy Faulkner, who's now in the pit lane. He's going to drop out of the top 10. So Rob Williams and Anders Liliorde now complete the top 10. And Liliorde has got...
Stu Rice behind him as a back marker.
Yeah, and Stu Rice is currently down in 22nd position at the moment. So some good battles really starting to show themselves now as we get into the, I would probably say the second quarter out of 4 of the pit stop phases, as we're now going to go to a replay. James, what are we seeing?
Michael Seal, he's done something. I can't quite work out what he did, but he went off. He came back on. Then he didn't. Then he entered the pit lane, and then he jumped to the pit. So I don't know if he's get it stopped in time. Oh,
lucky. Very lucky.
Yeah, but whatever he's done after that, unfortunately, he's put himself. He's out. So I don't know what Michael Seal's done there. Obviously, you're in YouTube chat, Mikey. Let us know on that one as Crowber. Whoa, who was that? There was 2 cars parked together. Oh my God, not again. Oh, they've done it again. They've done it again. Barnes and Crowber.
Oh no, lightning has struck twice and it's through turn 1. Was that Crowther coming out the pits?
That was Barnes, yeah. That was Crowther. I think that was Crowther coming out the pits, and that was Barnes on the outside, I think. Let's pick up and just 100% make sure here. Yeah, Crowther's coming out the pits, and Barnes is the one beside him. Barnes turns in. Crowther didn't let off, and Crowther spun Barnes. So the Triple Blade Oscar boys not having a good time, should we say, here as well.
There could be some happy slaps between the pair of them after this race during the debrief, I think, like saying, well, you hit me. Yeah, well, you hit me in the first race. And we'll probably hear the acoustic hits of people's faces being proverbially slapped, or virtually slapped using a soundboard between the pair of them. But Liliorde now up into 8th place. So still have 13 of the drivers. So top 12 up to Gary McFarlane. Callum Island has profited by some people already pitting. He's currently 19th, but of course he's going to tumble down the order. And he comes in for his mandatory stop. We've still got just under 17 minutes to go. And, oh, right, it's getting a bit fruity at the front because Jones has got Bjorklund breathing down his exhaust pipe, swarming all over the back of him, coming out of Panasonic at turn 16. Now, this is going to be possibly an opportunity, not just for Bjorklund, but for Simnor to close on Jones. Bjorklund runs a little bit wide. He's within 0.2 of a second. He's right on the rear wing of the McLaren 570S GT4 of Andy Jones in front of him. Bjorklund is going to try and pull to the left, but what does Jones do? He stays in front. He's not really blinking quite yet. But where is Bjorklund going to make the move? He's looking to go inside the tram lines on the right-hand side of the start-finish straight. Looks to the outside. Jones going to have the defensive line going into Daiichi at turn 1. Will Bjorklund get the cut back? It could be the case because Jones runs a little bit wide. There's Bjorklund coming out of turn 1 into turn 2. Now into left at Coca-Cola. Jones will still hold on to the lead. I'm sure that Richard Simnor, having the ringside seat, is licking his lips right now.
Yeah, he's just waiting for contact, isn't he? I think that's the thing for Simnor. He's just waiting for them to make contact, Jones and Bjorklund. It's whether or not now which one's going to go into the pits. It would make sense here for Simnor to possibly take a dive in, partly because these two are holding each other up. So that's what I would do, but then I'm not in the car, so I can't answer that one either. But if I was Simnor, I'd possibly maybe take a look at diving into the pits a little bit more here as well. Bjorklund and Andy Jones, you've got to give room. Now Simnor's coming as well. Now Bjorklund settles into that mid-race there once more. Andy Jones holding on there for an absolute trooper with Bjorklund. Surely this has got to be pit stops. This has got to be these guys making these stops, and I think it's going to be very, very interesting here to see how this one gets on, because honestly, I would make the stop if I was sat here holding up these guys as well.
I think Andy Jones has got a big old decision to make, because they're coming down the start-finish straight. They're all veering to the right. They could all be going into pit lane. Bjorklund needs to stay away from the back bumper of... Well, no. Jones stays out. Bjorklund bites the bullet and pits, and Simnor is now looking for the race lead with 14.5 minutes to go. Pulls past using the outer side draft, and Simnor on lap 18 takes the race lead in the feature here at round 6. Incredible scenes. Petty now in the pits, so we're now seeing the 3rd out of 4 phases of the pit stop windows happening, but still with 14 minutes to go, if Simnor and Jones can go a little bit longer, probably another lap, as Bjorklund is now on pit road exit. Petty is now in the box. Williams is now trundling down pit lane. So it's about what Simnor and Jones do. Do they decide to hang out for 1 or 2 laps? It's going to be close on the mileage for the fuel.
Yeah, I think they've got to look at the bigger picture and decide where the situation is as well. Whether or not they can actually make it, that's going to be the question. Can they actually make it here as well? And is the likes of, obviously, Kim-Andre Bjorklund, has he got a clean run, which he has done coming out the pits, because Torbjörn Melle is not anywhere near him, and he's got Richard White and Anders Lilliorde, who I'm sure is not going to hold up Bjorklund. Is Bjorklund going to get a better run than what they've got? So, it's definitely going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, that's the 64,000 yen question that really needs to be answered at this particular moment in time. But yeah, I mean, Bjorklund is, 4.4 seconds behind Richard White, who is currently 2nd in the AM class. Now, Richard White, who started on the top 15 reverse grid pole position for this 2nd race, this feature race here at Fuji International Speedway, as Mikey Pollard, our sprint race winner, now dives into pit lane on lap 18. So yeah, Simnor and Jones, they've gone on to do another lap, so they're going to complete 19 laps. I would hazard a guess that if they're running on Simnor's just done a 146.525, Jones has done a 147.854, so the gap is about a second between the pair of them. Bjorklund now knows that he's got an opportunity. He's going to go past the likes of Gibbons and Pollard, because Pollard is on the pit road exit, so this could be very, very close. Will Bjorklund get the jump on Mikey Pollard? If this is the case, and that is the case, because Pollard's going to now start coming out of the pit lane. There he is, and Bjorklund's already in through turn 1 at Daiichi, so Pollard had to wait until he could bury the accelerator, and that is one adversary that Bjorklund does not need to worry about.
No, that's one down for Kim-Andre Bjorklund. That's the way he's got to look at it. It's one down. Now I'm going to go again. And he is hot lapping right now. He is going at a rate of knots that basically is just, he's got nobody in front of him. He can just put his foot down, pedal to the metal, and produce the laps that we know he can produce. So for Kim-Andre Bjorklund, just go, 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 because everybody in front of him has got to pit. Richard White, Lilliorde, Veeman, Jones and Simnor have got to pit here. Jones and Simnor carry on again, so maybe they've got more fuel left than what we're actually getting. No, Simnor's getting in. What about Jones? Jones has got in as well. So now it's all about this man with Kim-Andre Bjorklund. Where is he going to come out, Alex, when these guys start heading out the pit lane?
Yeah, he's making his way through turn 14 and into 15, so he's going through next corner, penultimate turn. Veeman now in the pit lane. So, and Jones looks to have pipped Simnor in the pit. Well, looks to have gotten ahead of Simnor in the pits, but Simnor's already in the box. So, yeah, Simnor's going to come out ahead of Jones. That's going to be guaranteed. Veeman is going to come out behind them. Lilliorde's now pitted. So, Jones...
Oh, Simnor's moving.
And Jones was in the pits for he was in the pit box for 2 seconds less, and Simnor still gets the jump, but Bjorklund is now coming up the finish straight. There it is, there's the move, there's the undercut done. That was a great jump there by Bjorklund to get past Simnor and Jones, and now the race really comes alive with 10 minutes on the timer to go.
Yeah, it definitely does. But he did that by giving himself space. He had so much fresh air. You know, he's now got 1.7 seconds. You know, he made a big old gap, Alex, and he had that purely because of the air that he come out in. And it was all clean. There was nothing there. You know, there was nobody to battle with, nobody to get held up with. He come out on his own, he went in on his own, and now he's made the gap on his own, and he's done an absolute stellar job for Kim Andre Bjorklund there as well. So well done to him.
Yeah, that's exactly what he needed to do. Strike whilst the iron is hot, and he's got a couple of back markers in front of him at the minute, so it's not going to be easy to get past them, but he's got to do that very, very quickly, and it's not going to be an easy one trying to do it into turn 13, but he's just deposed of one of them, so that was quickly negotiated. I'm not too sure, was that Stuart Rice?
Yeah.
So he'll have Callum Milam just ahead of him, and Milam has yet to serve his mandatory pit stop, and he's got just under 9 minutes to go until the checkered, so Milam keeps out of the way, through out of turn 16 at Panasonic. So that now puts a little bit of daylight at the end of the tunnel between Bjorklund, Simnor and Jones. So Milam and Rice are effectively the two indirect rear gunners for Kim Andre Bjorklund with 8.5 minutes to go. So now we completed 20 laps. I think there's still... And look, Jones has got the headlights on to say to Simnor, don't you worry, sunshine, I'm still here.
Yeah, the interesting one is Callum Milam. And I say that because I can't see a rear wing on that car unless I'm imagining what I'm seeing. But I can't see a rear wing. Simnor's now trying to go over Stu Rice. Stu's going to let him through, which is fair enough. They've still got the 1.4, so now it's all on Bjorklund and what he is able to do. Anders Lilliorde, he's trying to make a move over Stu Gibbons. Again, pro and am for Gibbo. I wouldn't really worry too much. He does make it through for Lilliorde, battles his way back into 9th. Rakowski and Williams, they're swapping backwards and forwards as they're on their way down the straight. And this is for the AM final oh dearie me, final AM podium place. Oh Jesus, give me the denture cream.
There you go, on its way. It's not by snail mail. It'll be Amazon drone very shortly, mate.
Jesus.
We both had that drama tonight, haven't we? Blooming hell.
It's our age, mate. It's our age.
Don't get us both started, James. God, it's that time of the night as well, isn't it? Hey, bloody hell.
It's sleepy time for me and you, mate. You know what I mean?
You especially with the day you've had. But yeah, I mean, still, to see Rob Williams and Jess Rakowski, despite all the dramas that she had earlier on, especially with a certain Mr. Seal, she's fought her way back through strategy, and she's giving Williams something to think about here. So even with the fact that the Triple Blade Gamma 93 Merc of Williams is still holding on, then also there's Richard White. So this is a 3-horse race for the final podium position in the AM classification with 6 minutes and 35 on the clock to go. There's still something, I think as the old saying goes, something's got to give, as Robert Stotter now trying to go toe-to-toe with Mikey Pollard down the start-finish straight.
I think that was Veman. Sorry to correct you there, but I think that was actually starting Veman, sorry. It was,
adjusted.
Yeah, it was Veman there as well, so that was all on me. I do apologise for that one.
Oh, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that at all. It happens. It happens. But yeah, I think, Stotton again just showcasing how impressive he's actually been throughout the season, and considering the fact that this is going to give him a big old advantage, because who's retired? The person that was coming into this championship round as the points leader, Tristan Egglestad. It's going to be a no score for the Swede, who retired on lap 4, and now we're on to lap 22, and Stotton has got a lot of daylight between himself and the likes of Stuart Gibbons. Jess Rakowski now past Rob Williams up into P3 for the minute.
Yeah, that's 4 times. They have literally, over the course of lap 21, end of 21 and beginning of 22, they passed each other 4 times at the moment. 1, 2, 3, no, 5 times. And I don't think they're going to be completely done. You see the 2 different lines round the hairpin there in 6 and 7, and Williams is not going to want to give this up. He knows that he wants to have a good race. This man obviously has been practicing throughout the week as well. I know Rob personally, so I know what he is like, and he's not going to want to give this up. He will go for it, and Rakowski's going to be under pressure for the last 4.5 minutes. I don't think this battle's done. I think this 3rd place on the AM podium is still not finished, but I'll be interested to see how it works out. But look at the front 3, Alex. They are literally coming together. They are separated by no more than 7 tenths. You could literally blanket Bjorklund, Simnor and Jones here, and the boys behind for the AI race summaries and the DCWs have closed right in on Kim Andre Bjorklund.
This is going to be a battle for survival, and has anyone got a lighter ready? Because I think the Chinese firecrackers will be lit very shortly too, just coming up to just over 4 minutes to go. But yeah, it's about that good old cat and mouse game. You get to the end of a 45-minute endurance race where everyone's had to go through the pits at least once. We've seen 5 of the drivers, including the likes of Odomets, Babic and Owens, having to make 2 trips through the pit lane, mainly because of the fact that they would have had damage earlier on in the race, as Callum Milam has now finally gone in for his mandatory pit stop with next to nothing on the clock left, probably just over 4 minutes and change, as he decided to go into the pit lane. That's going to drop him to
last. He's in last. He's in last now, and it's going to put him. He's not going to change any position.
Yeah, because you got Krause and Barnes. Crowder and Barnes are out. Seals out. Engelstad's out. But Bjorklund, who's that they've got? That's one of the DCW cars in front of them. Is that possibly?
Could be Gary McFarlane. It is Gary McFarlane.
Yeah. So who rounds out the top 18? But yeah. With 3 minutes to go, we've got this and, well, including this, 2 more laps. So Bjorklund has got to facilitate a move on McFarlane very quickly, as long as McFarlane lets him get out of the way, and he does. But as soon as he does that, Bjorklund goes through, Simnor's right up his rear trumpet, and they're going through into Coca-Cola, and there's Simnor for the lead! Simnor for the lead, he hip checked Bjorklund, and Bjorklund's going to try and go up the inside, and Andy Jones is looking at this very, very intensely as they go through turn 5 out of 100R into the next left at 6 at the hairpin. Simnor's going to retake the race lead, but will Bjorklund undercut him? He's going to go for it. Is the Norwegian, and now this is through out of turn 7. They've got the long run through into 8 into 300R, and Simnor at the minute holds station in the lead, but Andy Jones looks like he could very quickly thread the eye of the needle in between the pair of them as they head into Dunlop. Bjorklund again round the outside at turn 10, and Simnor at the minute with 2 minutes to go still has the lead, and Jones is looking for second. Jones is looking for second on Bjorklund, was not able to get the traction down. I think bogged down coming out of turn 15, coming out of what was probably more than likely turn 12, and now going in towards turn 16, Bjorklund has got to be right up the rear bumper of Simnor as we go on to the final lap. Lap 24 about to be completed. 25 laps in total here for the feature race at Fuji for round 6. It's game on for the race lead. 3 battling warriors at the front end down the start-finish straight for one final time.
Yeah, they're going to try and make this move now as well. Simnor's going to go and hug that line. He knows if he keeps hold of the line, there's nowhere for Bjorklund to go. He pulls around the outside. He's going to try the outside run as Kim Andre Bjorklund. He's going to go in deep. Is he going to end up slotting in? He's almost done himself damage, and now comes Andy Jones as well, Alex. Jones is coming into the mix. Jones wants a piece of this as well. Now Jones is in front of Bjorklund, and Bjorklund went from hero to zero, second to third, all by trying to take a deep run into turn 1.
Yeah, the Porsche of Bjorklund got a bit of a tank slapper as he applied the power running wide out of turn 1 through Daiichi, and that gave Jones the perfect opportunity, but Bjorklund not done yet. Jones, let's not forget, is actually at the bottom part. It's actually was last in the table for the pros, and this is going to help him go up a little bit further. And he'll be saying like, well, this season hasn't gone well. Let's see if I can make the second half one. And he's already started doing that here at Fuji. So 24 seconds to go, and we're coming into turn 10 at Dunlop for the final time. It is going to be, it's very much the case that Richard Simnor, with a 7.5 tenth of a second advantage heading into turn 13, is going to pick up the race 2 victory. It was Mikey Pollard in the sprint. Richard Simnor very much was in the right place, right time, got the job done. And now as the timer hits 0, one more corner to negotiate. And Richard Simnor, out of the final corner in the number 21 Porsche, will now power his way towards victory in the feature race here. He's already flashing the lights as he's got a 7/10 of a second advantage. He knows that Jones won't be able to catch him, but Jones is closing still. He might get the overspeed a little bit closer to the line, and it's Simnor that wins. Jones in second. Bjorklund denied by a mistake, all done by himself by applying the power whilst wide out of turn 1. Means that the Norwegian ends up rounding out the top 3 again in 2 races in a row. Rob Stoughton, well, he's going to provisionally take the championship lead in the AM standings because he comes across the line in 6th behind Mikey Pollard and Stein Wienman to take 6th and the win in AM. Faulkner in 7th. Petty in 8th. Lidiode makes it into 9th at the flag. Stuart Gibbons takes 10th and 2nd at AM. But look at this, folks. Who'd have thought of this one? It's going to be Jess Rakowski that's going to power her way towards the checkered flag. And don't start leaving and celebrating too early yet, Jess, because he got across the line. And there she goes. She's going to take the checkered and picks up her first podium this season in the AM classification.
Yeah, do you know what? I was a little bit confused then. And I know at our age, Alex, it doesn't really take much sometimes, right? But I was a little bit confused because they were all weaving and slowing down, but yet the start-finish line isn't until you get to that bridge. So they had quite a long run, Simnor, Bjorklund and Jones, but it looked like they were all slowing down beforehand, and I was kind of a little bit confused because you got Simnor weaving, you've got Jones weaving, and then Bjorklund just kind of seems to like, yeah, I'm just going to back off. But he had till we got to there, so I would have just kept me footing, personally. But there you go. That just would have been me. But that's why I'm not out on track. But there you go. So here are the results for you.
That makes 2 of us. But Richard Simnor for the AI RaceSummaries.com Tracy team takes the win after 45 minutes here at Fuji. 25 laps in the books. Andrew Jones pipping Kim Andre Bjorklund as the number 4 DCW Racing Blue McLaren takes 2nd ahead of the number 88 Porsche from Sim Racing Norway. Mikey Pollard and Stein Wienman from AI RaceSummaries.com Tracy and Jesse round out the top 5. Robert Stodden takes a win in the AM class in the number 9 McLaren Project 88 AM. Got the likes of Patrick Faulkner, Gavin Petty, Anders Liliode rounding out the top 8 with, top 9 with Stuart Gibbons and Jess Rakowski rounding out the top 3 in the AM class. Had Rob Williams, Richard White, Torbjorn Mele, and then we've got Tauno Onomet standing 15th, Dan Babbage, Miles Owens, Gary McFarlane, Stuart Rice, Chris Evans, Rachel Hoff, Callum Milam, Deck Crowther, Chris Barnes, Michael Seal, and Tristan Engelstadt, the latter of which has provisionally not ended up at the top of the point standings in the AM classification for the drivers. Now retires on a few laps to go, but head on over to the post-race interviews. So I think what we need to do, first of all, is have a chat with our winner of the feature race in this one. So let's see if we can bring in the man, the myth, the legend that is Mr. Richard Simnor.
Yes, you can. There you go. It's for you.
So, Richard, good evening.
Hello.
Well, first things first, congratulations on the feature race, but I wanted to cast your mind a little bit further back to the unfortunate incident between yourself and Kim on the last lap where you were both going for the, both battling for the lead, and then Kim gives you a little bit of a touch from behind. It was a bit unfortunate on that front because you could have picked up the double tonight here at Fuji.
Well, I think he just flat out missed his braking point, to be honest. And then took me out. But he did the decent thing and waited. So that was kind of him. But good to see my my teammate pulling his finger out this week and getting it into first place.
Yeah, and still, you and James have already, had the chat at Donington Park. Of course, we've got a few other tracks coming up. We've got the likes of Long Beach, Mount Panorama, Mugello, and Twin Ring Motegi. Are you going to be around for all of those races? Are you, to try and see how much of a dent you can make into the lead that a certain Mr. Veenman has at the minute at the top of the standings?
Well, yeah, I should make the rest of the calendar. I mean, that's the plan at least. It was just I had a PC problem. My graphics card. Well, actually, no, sorry, my power supply went. A couple of races before, or 3 races before now. And then I'd already planned to do Silverstone 300, but then with my PC problems, I just didn't really know what I was going to do, and we managed to solve that for that week. So I mean, I was only going to miss 1 week, which would have been my drop round, but I missed 2. So I don't know. It's going to be difficult.
Oh, definitely. But also the fact that it was a really good battle between yourself and Kim again, but also Andy Jones came into the mix on that one. It was a bit nip and tuck. It was, as I said to James on the broadcast, it was a bit like the cat and mouse game has already started, and you guys were, I think, with a couple of laps to go, covered by about a second. But you made good your intentions. You sent it up the inside of Kim through turn 1, going on to the final lap, and then Andy managed to capitalise on Kim's tank slapper as he went wide when you sent it up the inside of him. Was it just a case of, as always, just biding your time and just really eking out the strategy? Because even though Andy was in the pits at the same time as you still got the jump on him in the pit stop, even though you were 2 seconds in your pit box longer than him.
Yeah, I may have made a bit of a boo-boo on the old pits. So I don't know if you saw it on the broadcast, but I did get raised onto the jacks because I was still in my Daytona configuration. So I was frantically unticking tyres. But to be fair, it worked out because my fronts had fallen off the side of the earth anyway. So, I managed to get 1 tyre on the front right corner. And I think actually that made a bit of a difference because as Kim's, his tyres were just flat out gone. So
I was kind of wondering because in the sprint race, I mean, we had a comment in the chat from Just an Average Sim Racer saying that the front left takes a bit of an abuse. Was it more with the Porsche that the fronts were taking, both of them taking a significant amount of abuse, but you managed to get the right front on in the pit stop?
Personally, if I'd have accidentally left my front left ticked, that would have been preferable. But it was the front right, so it felt really wibbly coming out the pits. I actually finished the race 1x short of a drive-through, so it was. We were pushing the edge of the circuit today, so it was good fun racing.
Brilliant, Richard. Anyone you want to give a shout out before we let you go tonight?
Can I ask a question, please?
Go for it.
Was taking out Stein Veman a ploy to move yourself up through the championship standings? You really didn't think. I love a conspiracy, but
Who took him out?
You did.
Oh, you mean into that left-hander? No. So what happened there was I was braking to make sure I didn't hit him, but then he had to jinx left because of a car to his right, and then that meant he tagged my front, and so it wasn't the intention to take him out. And we were both talking about that afterwards. No, it wasn't. It was basically all the traffic to his right that was causing him to squeeze to the left. So, we were trying to avoid each other.
That reminded me of the old DCW days, dear sir.
Well, put your tinfoil hats back on.
Well, he did.
No, I mean, in fairness, you want to talk about the DCW days. Andy Jones didn't kill anybody tonight, so kudos to him. He's actually learned a lesson or two. He actually made it round more than 2 corners as well, so that was also good. So
he did, bless him. Well done. Sorry, Alex, you carry on.
That's fine. Well, on that note, Richard, anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go, buddy?
Oh no, I'm going to shout out Kim. It was a really great race tonight. He's a real quick peddler, so he deserves to score big. So good luck to him in the next few races, and let's see where we're at the end of the season.
Brilliant. Thank you, Richard. We'll see you next week for round 7 at Long Beach. Have a good evening.
Cheers.
So there we have Richard Simnor. And now next up, we've got Kim Andre Bjorklund. Kim, good evening. Thank you for jumping in for a quick chat post tonight. But a solid couple of results. And what happened in when we saw you having Richard go up the inside of you on the first corner of the last lap, and then did you just sort of bog down or just lose traction because Andy was very quickly up your inside and past you for second?
I actually can't remember.
I think the adrenaline's still coursing through your veins at the moment, Kim, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'm pretty much a bit pissed because of the blue flag cars held me up earlier.
hmm
I think I had the gap to cruise into victory in the last race, but yeah, it is what it is.
But still, to have 2 top 3s, well, both third place finishes, still keeps you in the hunt at the sharper end of the field. I mean, how do you fancy your chances for Long Beach next week?
I'm not sure. I have been fast there before in other car classes, but haven't driven with the GT4s yet, so
So maybe a little bit of practice a few days beforehand might help out a little bit to get yourself used to the Porsche around those city streets, because they're tight, they're uncompromising, aren't they?
yeah, it's so easy to graze the wall and get some wheel damage, so hope for the best.
Yeah. Any questions to Kim, James?
Yeah, I'm going to try my best.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kim. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go this evening?
Yeah, of course, you guys streaming this craziness, and my teammates for pushing me and backing me. And yeah,
Brilliant.
that's it.
Thank you very much, Kim Andre Bjorklund. Kim, we'll see you next week for round 7 at Long Beach.
Yeah, thanks.
And to round off the interviews tonight, well, let's bring in our AM class winner for the feature race, Robert Stoughton. Well, Robert, good evening.
Evening.
Well, that was a pretty action-packed couple of races there at Fuji, wouldn't you agree?
Very much so. Luckily, I missed a couple of it because I spun myself out of the first race. So I missed the majority of it.
Yeah, we did see you, hit one of the curves, try to apply the power. It was a little bit too much power, and it just sort of kicked the car over into the barriers on the left-hand side. But to recover back through race 1, but then of course the feature races, there's always that nice little bit of strategy, and you really made the best of it. You made up 11 places, so you finished 17th in race 1, finished P6 and won the AM class. I mean, that's a pretty good way to sign off the evening, isn't it?
The only way I care about the evening is when I'm catching up to P1 in class in the championship. That's all I care about. Constructors are good, but only matter is if I'm gaining points on P1. So
Yeah, and obviously now with Tristan's DNF in the feature race, that really closes the gap going into Long Beach next week. So that's another good thing to think about. What are your thoughts ahead of going to the tight city streets of Long Beach for next week? It's going to be a different challenge to what we've had here at Fuji, isn't it?
as much of a challenge it will be towards me, it will be a challenge towards everybody else, and we're going to find out who can adapt the quickest, and we'll find out who's put the most practice in.
Yeah. Well, Robert, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight before we let you go?
Everyone in my team, especially Richard White. He has been absolutely amazing from what I saw from him last season in GT4s to where he's come now. I've been helping him as much as I can, and the progress he has been making, I cannot falter him at all, and that's a massive shout out to him.
Brilliant. Robert Stoughton, congratulations on your AM class winning the feature. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Well, James, after all those interviews, nice that you decided to interrogate Mr. Simnor about the incident with Mr. Wiedemann.
I had to. I don't really feel that he would have come into this booth and expected me not to ask him. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you know, it was what it was. They made contact. I wanted to know what happened. So look, they've done a great job, and I think overall they're in for a challenge. I don't think Kim Andre Bjorklund is going to roll over like a puppy. I think he's still going to be battling away there, and I still think he's going to be up there and around there when it comes to the end of this season. Yes. Could he have moaned about the back markers? I don't know. Not that we saw. Maybe he was hoping they would get out of the way on the straight. But you kind of can't guarantee where you're going to catch them. I think that's the problem. You know, if you're expecting to catch them around the back end of the circuit through 11, 12, 13, 14, and, you know, you're going to struggle to try and get them out the way because you've got to give them a little bit of time, I think, as well. If they're on a straight, I would expect them to move over. But if they're in that 11, 12, and 13, it's always going to be tough.
Yeah, and with that, well, let's keep you up to date with what's coming up on JP Broadcasting over the next few days, because there's a lot of action still to go. Well, what are we now today? We are Wednesday night, Thursday. So tomorrow, so Thursday will be TSRC GT3s at Paul Ricard, Evolution GT3s at Watkins Glen, and Radical Race Series at Alton Park. Friday, we'll have the TVP Xfinity at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We'll also have the TSRC F4 Sprint Series Round 1 at Alton Park, followed by JPB TCRs at Zandvoort, and then we'll have Racers Elite ARCA Series at Kentucky on Sunday early morning, with the Premier Endurance GT4 Round 1 at Mugello, and then Pole Position Racing Round 2 at Bahrain for F1 2023. And then we've got IGP Fun F3 Round 5 Mugello. So on behalf of James Parfitt, my name's Alex Goldschmidt. And as I always like to say, if in doubt, flat out, we'll see you next time. Keep it clean and keep racing out there, folks. Good night.
Jungle.